In this video, I'm going to show the entire critical thinking process of a Vapi and n8n master as I solve a support ticket from one of my students. Let's go ahead and get started. The question is, how to handle multiple practitioner appointments. Hello, Anthony. First of all, I want to thank you for all the value you bring through your videos. I'm currently working on a dental clinic with several practitioners, dentists and orthodontists. The current setup, based on a workflow and setup, Vapi Part 10, is designed for a single practitioner, and I need to adapt it to multiple ones. The goal for the workflow is to book appointments with the correct practitioner based on the client's request. For example, if a client needs to see an orthodontist, the AI should check their specific calendar for availability and book the appointment there, not on the dentist's calendar. The same applies to rescheduling, canceling. I've been looking at the current workflow and the Vapi system prompt. I'm wondering what the best way to handle this is. So from that, what do we know that the issue is? The issue is that currently we have a workflow that only books to one calendar. So what do we need to do in order to change it so that it can book to multiple calendars? Well, the way that Vapi and n8n work, I think the easiest way to explain this will just be going over to n8n and then just importing that file. So go ahead and import from file. It's going to be called ultimate agent part 10.json. And this is what it's going to look like now. The way that this works is that we have a bunch of tools, and based on the tool, we're going to route it to a different workflow. As of right now, as you can see, we have one node for the Google Calendar node that is responsible for booking the appointment into the Google Calendar. So in order to handle this, we're going to need to do a couple things. We're going to need to go into Vapi to adjust the tool. Then we're going to need to adjust the assistant prompt so that it can ask for the correct information to pass along in that tool. Then once the data gets passed over and it gets received on this webhook, it's going to route the information over here. And then the tool call is going to be called book appointment. So it's going to route the workflow over here. And here we have a bunch of different options, right? So the first option that I can think of is we can add a switch node here that basically reads the parameter type, or not the practitioner type from the webhook. So for example, route 1 would just be dentist, and route 2 would be the chiropractor or whatever it is. But basically that way we can route it based on if we want to book into this calendar for, you would obviously rename this to dentist or orthodontist, but this is just the different calendars that you'll be able to map to. Or the other option would be to create a code node where in that code node, you would basically map, doing the same exact mapping, right? So probably the easiest way to do it using no code and to do it visually would be using the switch node. So that's probably what I'll show in this video. But again, if you wanted to do it the method with the least technical debt, it will be using the code node, because that means that you don't have to create multiple calendar nodes. You would just have one calendar node and you would variably pass data in based on the result of a code node. So let's go ahead and just go back here, see what else he said. Create a Vapi tool using a router. So the problem with creating that many Vapi tools is, number one, you have to create a lot of Vapi tools. And number two, it means that you're going to have to create a bunch of different versions of this, right? So I think actually, let's see. I don't know if it'll actually, you only need to create one extra tool here, or if you have to replicate the entire workflow multiple times. But either way, it's not the right way to do it, because that's way too much duplication. All right, the next one is, would it be better to update the system prompt and include a new parameter practitioner type so that the n8n workflow can use to choose the right calendar? So yeah, this is the right method. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do that right now. So if we're going to use the switch method, the way that we would do that is we would go over here and then we would add a node called switch node. And here we're going to need to find the reference to the parameter type that is going to be located in the Vapi tool call webhook node. So sometimes it might be hard to, figure out using code. So what's easier to do sometimes is just to test it out and just pull it from the input into here. So it's probably what we'll do. But in regards to the output, it's going to be equal to dentist. This is going to be for route number 1. And route number 2 is going to be called orthodontist. Perfect. Go ahead and save that. And then the other thing to do would basically be to copy the calendar, because here the only thing that we need to change is basically the ID. So I haven't renamed my calendars because I'm sure you can understand this, but let's just pretend that this is called dentist, and let's pretend that this is called uh, orthodontist, right? And basically the point of this is if the practitioner type is equal to dentist, then we'll map to the first one. And then if the name of the parameter type is equal to chiropractor, then we'll map to the second one. See? So that's how it works. Basically, you're basically changing the calendar that we're booking the appointment to, and all you need to do here is just literally connect it over there, because it's still using the same exact logic after that. The only logic that's changing is this. So that's exactly what we need. All right, so now that n8n is done, we can actually just hit save and turn the workflow to active, because we're going to need it actively listening for information when we go ahead and test it later. So like I was saying earlier, the only thing I need to finish now is in Vapi, change the tool and change the assistant slightly. So let's go over to Vapi. Now I already have most of the setup from the Ultimate Agent. By the way, guys, if you don't have the information for the Ultimate Agent, go ahead and go to my school community, go to YouTube prompts, and then you'll be able to find the 3-hour course right here. And I have all the files here. You just hit download. Okay. So let's go back over to Vapi. Now here are the tools. And the tool that we need to edit is the book appointment tool. As you can see, we already have some parameters, but we need to add an additional one called practitioner type. So let's go ahead and click add property. The name is going to be practitioner type. It's going to be type string because it is just words. And the descriptor is just going to be the type of practitioner. And again, the description is basically just telling the agent what this parameter is, what it needs to do with this. And this is guiding it in order to get the right information. And an easy way to make sure that it gives you exactly what you need instead of something wrong that's not going to work with your workflow. Because if we go back over to n8n, we're specifically looking for 2 options and these 2 options only. If it gives us something other than this, it's going to fail and it's not going to do exactly what we need it to do. So we need to basically go over here. Enum basically just means choices, right? So we can hit add value. Now the first value is going to be dentist. And then we can add another one. It's going to be called dentist. Now, important thing here is just make sure you type it in correctly, because it has to be 100% equal to whatever you have wrote in n8n over here. And the next thing to do is just hit required, because we absolutely need it to collect this before using the tool. That is perfect. So if you just want to check it real easily, just hit visual editor and it'll show you all of that. So practitioner type is type string. This is correct. Enum, these are the choices. That looks perfect. And it's required. All right. So just go ahead and hit save, and then go to phone numbers just to make sure that it has been set to the phone number, so that when we call it later, it's going to pick up using the new assistant. So let's keep that correct. Okay. The last thing to do is go to assistants and then adjust our system prompt, because we need to add some instructions to our agent to basically tell it that it needs to collect the parameter, the practitioner type, before using the book appointment tool. So let's go ahead and find the book appointment tool. So this is the first usage is basically just saying that before it uses any major tool, it just needs to basically use the get user documents tool to see if it can actually get that information from the company information, but that's not what we're using today. We're interested in the second usage, which is going to be the final tool call here. So we just need to add something before the book appointment tool that will make sure that it collects that parameter, that practitioner. I keep saying parameter, I don't know why. So for calling the book appointment tool, make sure to ask caller what type of practitioner that they need to book the appointment with. The possible options are dentist or just save this info as practitioner type. Okay, that should be fine. So again, this is just giving the agent some information so that it properly knows what it needs to do. Again, it just requires testing. Sometimes it might get it wrong and sometimes it might get it right. So um, it does depend. Like if the way that you're writing it is like not communicating to the agent properly, then you just have to consistently, try new things and try to get it the correct way. So go ahead and publish the save and then just go ahead and call that number to give it a test so that we can go back over here and basically get that execution data that we can pass over to, I believe, the switch node where we can basically plug it in for the value. I'll just take a guess as to what I think it will be, because basically the structure is going to be similar to this. It's just going to get the information from the Vapi tool call webhook, and then it's going to be nested in some information. It's going to be nested into the tool call of index 0, which just means that that's the tool call that got used. So I'm pretty sure if I just change function.name to practitioner type, it should work. But let's try that. So I'm just going to paste that in here and we'll change this to practitioner type. Practitioner type. Actually, there's a better way that we could find it out. Let's see if we can try to figure it out by finding the format using another tool. So what is another node here that uses that information? Let's check over here. No, this doesn't use it. I need to find something that uses the tool call. Yeah, I think it's mostly just that one, honestly. Yeah, the fastest way is just to test it. So let's copy this. Go ahead and save. Then I'm going to call that number. No, not this one. Over here.
Thank you for calling the Glow Clinic. This is Chloe. How may I help you today?
I need to book an appointment.
One moment, please. Of course. What day would work best for you to come in?
Can you guys do Tuesday on next week?
Great. Next Tuesday, August 26th. We have a few openings. Here are 3 good options: 9 a.m., 10:30 a.m., 1 p.m. Would any of those work for you? Also, do you prefer a dentist or an orthodontist for your consultation? If you're new, I'll also need your full name to finish booking.
Sure. Yeah, my name is Anthony, and I'd like to schedule that appointment for a dentist on Tuesday, August 26th at 9 a.m.
Lovely to meet you. Which of the 3 times would you prefer? 9 a.m., 10:30 a.m., or 1 p.m.? And would you like a dentist or an orthodontist for your consultation?
9 a.m. and I'd like a dentist.
One moment, please. I'm booking that for you now. I ran into a problem saving the appointment. Would you like me to try again? Or would you prefer I connect you with one of the clinic staff to complete the booking?
Go ahead and try again.
I'm sorry. I'm still having trouble saving the appointment in our system. Let me connect you with one of.
All right. So actually, as you can see, what ended up happening is actually this was expected, but basically it tried to book the appointment, but since we haven't finished it here, this is where it got stuck and it was unable to book the appointment. And because it was unable to book the appointment, it was unable to say that it was successful. And because it was unable to say that it was successful, it was trying to book the appointment. I mean, it was trying to transfer the call to a human so that they would help book the appointment. So that was actually expected. Let's go ahead and hit copy to editor. That's basically going to allow us to find the information to pass it to here to fix it. So copy to editor. See, as you can see, it is red, which basically means that this is undefined, which means that it's not correct and it's going to fail. So in order to find the correct information, you need to go into the Vapi tool called Webhook on the left side, which is, remember, the input side. And that's going to show us all the data that we can basically pull over here. So all we need to do is basically scroll until we see something called practitioner type. And then once we find the practitioner type, just delete this, and then just hold onto this this purple thing that basically is the result that you're looking for, and then just drag it and throw it in here. And as you can see, it is a, okay, so what I was missing was basically function.arguments and then practitioner type. So that was pretty close. As you can see, the result is resulting in dentist, which means that this will actually, if you hit execute, it'll actually say that it's dentist and give the correct output. So as you can see, it's saying that it's one item, which means that it correctly, basically it's routing to the dentist side of it now. So as you can see, it's now succeeding in this route. So all that we would need to do, if you want to check it, is you would go over to here and then we would hit execute step. And as you can see, node executed successfully. And that means that it's going to continue. And if this was an actual call, basically what would happen is it would automatically continue and then respond with a successful booking. But since this is just the test, and we're just doing it in the executions, it's not going to continue. But what it will do is it will have automatically updated in my actual calendar. So if we just check this real quick, it booked to my YouTube calendar. So that means that if I go to my calendar, it should show. And that's exactly correct. It booked it correctly with the right name and all the information. So that is absolutely perfect. So that is it. So as you can see, I just showed you how to basically solve the problem of if you have multiple practitioners, how do you route it in a different way so that you can book it to different calendars. Now, the first method is by using a code node, which will basically prevent you from having to duplicate different Google Calendar nodes, but that requires a little bit more technical skill and coding skills. On the other hand, you could do something with no code, basically by adding a switch node that will allow you to basically copy and paste the Google Calendar node, but then just go back and change the calendar from the list that you're trying to book the appointments into. And that's pretty much it. Just hit save, adjust the prompt to include the practitioner type parameter, and then adjust the assistant prompt a little bit to just make sure that it's asking for the practitioner type before booking the appointment. So guys, if that was helpful, make sure you go to my school community and you can join and ask me any questions that you want. Obviously, if you're a VIP, you would ask the question here and I'll get you that help immediately. But if you're a normal member, just ask it in here and I'll get around to you when I get some time. So if you guys enjoy that, hit the subscribe button and I'll see you in the next video.